Our buddy from Portugal wants to know how you go about setting life goals, long-term goals. He watched my video on energy management, and he says that, it's difficult for him, and he assumes many other people, to be focused and disciplined on something so far off. How is it that I can set life goals? And I'm just trying to do what I can do today, and I'm already having problems just doing this shit, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? You're not the only one. Right? When I first started setting goals, I listened to a program by Brian Tracy called The Luck Factor. I'd highly recommend it. And he described one way, one of the many ways that he described to set goals that resonated deeply with me. Right? Because I, like you, it's like, I'm so focused on the day-to-day, how can I have these big goals? He said, write your obituary. Your obituary is basically what people would say about you, or write what someone would say about you when you're dead. Basically, at your funeral, you want people to stand up and say this about you. That was so profound to me because it had less to do with what you're going to get in life. And quite frankly, I don't say this to sound pious or, egotistical in any way, but I'm not really attached to stuff. It's very difficult for me to get, to set goals like, I want this thing. They're not really things I want. I try to attach to things, that way I have something to strive for, but really my journey in life is more about becoming. Who am I becoming? Who am I serving? What kind of person am I? Because that's what they're going to talk about on your deathbed. That's what they're going to say in your obituary. That's what people are going to stand up and say at your funeral. So once you write that out, and I wrote this out probably about 10 years ago. I should go and pull it out. Once you do write it, you should read it at least once a year to remind yourself of what you're doing and if you are living up to that. Right? A day shouldn't go by that you're not living up to what will be said about you at your funeral. Do you understand? And that way, it's a bit more abstract, it's not as concrete, which causes far less anxiety, in my mind at least, about achieving it. Now, once you've seen that, right, you come back to your day-to-day activity, your day-to-day actions, every decision you have to make, and see if it is in integrity, if it matches up with that vision of yourself. You see? So that goal is more than an amount of money. It's more than a car. It's more than a house. It's who you're becoming. And then you act in consistent ways with that. Now, if you're talking more tangible, you've got to ask yourself, what type of things do you value? For me, the most tangible things that I could describe as an expression of who I am is the type of business I build and what I do with my family. So I want to, one of my long-term goals, you see, which isn't necessarily my obituary, but what I see myself actually doing, is speaking in front of hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm kind of doing it already. But, I've always envisioned this stadium, like all these people, and I'm speaking and I'm getting them all riled up and excited and focused and inspired about becoming the strongest version of themselves. It's a vision, right? It's less of a goal, it's more of a vision, and I visualize that as well. With my family, I see myself having a big yard and a pool and a place for my children to run and play, and then each one of them growing up to become the strongest version of themselves. It's a vision. A little less than a goal. Goals are very today. What are you going to do today that's going to impact your vision and your obituary? It's just a different way to look at it. Good luck.